Gouf on. Gouf on. Why isn't this working? Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the HGUC Gouf Custom. And starting off as always with the articulation. Heads on a barbell, though really you only get usage out of the top joint. Can't look up very far, can look down decently though. Full rotation, no trouble. The eye is on a moving track, though the head on this one doesn't really seem to want to stay on that well. The shoulders are on a forward-facing polycap. They can get pretty much across the chest. Then, of course, a ball joint. The shoulder armor is on a separate hinge and swivel, meaning that the arm can get out to pretty much a full 90. Rotation at the bicep, 90-degree bend at the elbow, and the hands, as always, are on a ball joint. Also on the gun arm, the camera is able to flip side to side. Not a ton of range in the waist, though it does get some. Hip skirts are basically static. There is a swivel front to back in the hips, which means they can get about 45 degrees in any direction. They are universal joints in there, it's just that the hip skirt is pretty limited because of the design. There is a thigh cut. It does bang against the hips a little bit, but it can get a full rotation. There is a double jointed knee for decent enough bend, and then it has the usual decently articulated Zaku style ankle. So overall the articulation's kinda limited, but it seems to mostly be because of the design of the suit rather than the engineering. And getting into accessories, let's start off as always with the sticker sheet and by extension color correction. Not a very big sheet, just the mono eye and then the camera. You will notice a little piece missing out here. That's just because I did the thing that I normally do and put a bit of foil in behind the cockpit, because it's translucent orange plastic, which means you get that little extra shine in it. But aside from that, it's actually not that bad. I did panel lining, just, you know, give it that little bit extra depth. And the actual color correction's pretty minimal. It's just a bit of gray and red for the thruster bells back here. You need to do gray on the trim around the wrists, and then gray on these little vents on the leg. There is a bit more paint, but it's on the accessories, so let's get into the accessories, starting off with the hands. You get two closed fists, which are currently on the Gouf. You get a right splayed hand, which is for the heat rod. It's like a hook shot. I can't remember what it's properly called, sorry, but we'll get into it shortly. But you do get two holding hands as well. A right one, as well as a left one for the other accessory, all of the weapons. This one has a tab slot. That means that it's really, really secure on this handle. But this is where the rest of the paint goes. The sort of cone here needs to be painted gray. The inside of the shield needs to be painted gray. And the handle on the heat sword, minus the little ring up here, needs to be painted blue, pretty much to match the torso. The heat sword is removable and is fit into this hand pretty well, honestly. Not really loose or anything. And this is pretty easy to get onto the arm. It's just a peg hole here. Basically, you eject the shield. Easier said than done, apparently. Pull off the machine gun, plug this onto the arm, then, you know, pull off this fist, plug it on. Also, the shoulder is specifically engineered to be able to hold it up. And finally, of course, it wouldn't be a Gouf if it wasn't for the... Again, it's not a heat rod, but you just pull out this little plug, which is easier said than done. Yeah, don't lose this. And here's the effect part, which is a bendy wire with this stuck on the end. just plugs into the arm in the same spot that the plug was. Doesn't really want to stick some of the time, but it'll stay if you push it in. And as for a size comparison, it's a Gouf, so I mean, about Gundam sized. So to wrap this review up, this kit is very similar to the Zaku F2. The engineering is pretty much identical. That isn't a complaint, however. I really like the Zaku F2. And while the articulation isn't amazing, it can still do pretty much whatever you need it to. At the very least, you have no trouble getting it into really good poses. And the color correction is pretty minimal. So if you are interested in getting the Gouf custom, I'd say it's worth your time. Anyway, that's all for this review. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, helps a lot. Subscribe and hit the bell for future reviews. Go follow me on Twitter for updates. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep making reviews just like this one. And as always, until next time, happy building.